does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Inspirational, right? How about trying new things will make the delivery slow? Believe it or not, according to Google Translate, that's actually the exact same quote after being translated through 10 languages and then back to English again. I don't know, I'm not sure if it has the exact same impact. Hi, I'm Elena. I figured that the world could use some inspiration right now. Although, now that I think about it, this video probably won't help, but anyway. Today I'll be using Google Translate to create my own versions of some famous inspirational quotes. Then I'll be showing them to people and seeing if they can notice that something's not quite right without telling them what I've actually done to the quotes. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure they'll notice. Okay, the first quote that I'm going to be doing today is a very famous one. If you can dream it, you can do it, which is attributed to Walt Disney. So how this works is I'll type it in English and then translate it through a bunch of different languages and see what we end up with. Alright, time to get started. And we have our result. After starting with if you can dream it, you can do it, I've ended up with just if you dream. It's not quite as inspiring as the original, I'll admit, but it's similar. Alright, on to the second quote. Life isn't about finding yourself, life is about creating yourself. And this was said by George Bernard Shaw. Let's get started translating it and we'll see what we end up with. And there we go, another inspirational quote created. After starting with life is not about finding yourself, life is about creating yourself, I've ended up with a slightly more ominous, life will not be for you, life is to do it yourself. The first part's a bit threatening, but at least the second sentence sort of makes sense with the quote. I guess when I show it to people later on, I'll find out if it's actually a convincing inspirational quote, which, let's be honest, people are probably going to spot that there's something a bit weird going on with this. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, why not subscribe and turn notifications on? On the Etypical channel, you'll find challenges, experiments, plus more fun videos like this one. Alright, on to the next quote. This quote's very well known and you'll probably have heard it before. It was said by Henry Ford, and it is, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Well, I think I can go and translate this and make it all weird and confusing and not make any sense, so guess I'll go do that. Alright, done. Now this one's turned out less inspirational, more threatening, but that's fine. After starting off with whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right, Google Translate has turned that into or you think you can, that doesn't mean you can enter, which seems a little aggressive. Anyway, moving on to the next quote. Now this quote was said by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and it is, the only person you are destined to be is the person you decide to become. So, let's see what Google Translate does with that. And there we go, back to English. Again, we started with a nice, inspirational, motivational quote, and Google Translate, after putting it through multiple languages, has given us something, well, yeah, threatening. Again, maybe I'm reading too much into this. It's probably fine. Anyway, after starting with the only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be, Google has kindly translated that to, he is not someone he wants to be, which isn't very nice. Alright, that's all the quotes done. Now what I'm going to do is show them to people and see if they suspect that something's up. Which it would be pretty hard for them not to, given what we've ended up with. But the question is, will they realise I got an actual quote and then translated it, which transformed it into whatever we've got now? Or will they just think I'm a bit weird? It's time to find out. Alright, it might not look like it because I'm still wearing the same hoodie, but it's actually the next day. So what I've done is I've made some generic inspirational quote pictures, which you probably will have seen pop up throughout this video, and I've texted each of them to someone so that we can see what their reactions are. Now, I don't usually go around just texting people random inspirational quotes, especially these ones which don't actually make any sense, so that helps explain the responses, I guess. Thankfully, all 4 people responded with varying degrees of confusion, so let's take a look at those now. So I sent everyone the same message except with a different quote. I just said, here's an inspirational quote for you, which is definitely a very normal message to send someone out of the blue. The first quote I sent off was the "if you dream" one, and the response came back, what happens if you dream? Good question, since the quote doesn't go on to explain that at all. I didn't really know how to respond to that, so I just said, I don't know, and moved on. The next quote was, life will not be for you, life is to do it yourself, which I sent off and got quite the response. They said, quite reasonably, makes no sense, but thank you. Not sure if it's supposed to make sense or not, but I'm tired, but thank you. Which was a very nice response, and I felt kind of bad for confusing them, but there you go. 2 confused people down, 2 to go. No one so far has caught on to what I'm doing, obviously, because why would you? Moving on to the third quote, which I felt a bit bad sending off because it seemed a little bit like I was trying to warn them to, stay out. That doesn't mean you can enter. So yeah, this was the "or you think you can, that doesn't mean you can enter," which the response was, am I missing the point here? I didn't really know what to say to that because there wasn't much of a point, so I just sort of avoided the question. And when they said, still haven't got it, I moved on to the last one. To be honest, for all the other quotes, I've probably confused the person receiving it a lot more than they've confused me. But this one, I think we might be equally confused. I sent the "he is not someone he wants to be," and in response I got, "aw, thanks." I'm not really sure what that's supposed to mean, so I just went with it. So, 4 quotes, 4 responses, and 4 people who probably now think I'm that a little bit weirder. Everyone seemed very confused as to why I was sending them these quotes that didn't even make any sense, which I don't really know what point that proves, but there you go. Which translated quote was your favourite? Let me know in the comments. Plus, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Or, according to Google Translate, thanks for watching later.